Now I'm very excited to have Deborah Rennie in studio with me. Morning, Deborah. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you?
I'm fabulous, thank you. I'm really happy to see you. I was just telling Deborah off air that I think I was meant to speak to you today. You were sent to me. Everything happens for a reason. And we were talking about your book. It's called The Relationship Magnet. Now, first, before we get to the book itself, this morning, just talking about it a little bit and just realizing that everything that happens physically is like a subconscious thought pattern process starting from. And if you have like negative self-talk, it's just going to translate into every aspect of your life. For example, if you think negatively, you're going to speak negatively, and that's negative energy, and then you're just going to, manifest yourself in the physical realm. I hope I'm not being too deep this morning, but it's the same thing with positive affirmations as well. And what you're saying is, in terms of the book, is your core belief, how you feel about yourself, how you view your place in the world, how you view other people, how you view, for example, your mother, how if you're a male, how you view your father if you're a female, all of that stuff, that makes up your core belief. And everything else that happens in your life is based on that. How does one change that? Well, because that's what your book deals with. It deals with like ways and means and help of how to change that.
It's very much that you have to become self-aware. And this is the interesting thing about human beings. We are so aware of everybody else. We are aware of their behavior, the way they communicate and what they do, that we so, we get caught up in that and we never focus on ourselves. How are we behaving? How are we communicating? How are we feeling? How are we communicating those feelings? And we really have to become, we have to start studying ourselves to see how we're behaving and why we do it. And it's basically you've got to become emotionally intelligent. I know it's sort of a phrase that has been thrown around a lot, and some people say it's just the flavor of the month, but I teach emotional intelligence, and I fully believe in it, because being emotionally intelligent is understanding exactly who you are, what you're thinking, what your thoughts are, as I said, what your beliefs are. And as you said, the energy comes from your thoughts and how you feel and how you believe and how you're going to act. So everything in life is sort of based on that. So you have to become, you've got to use your emotions almost as navigation, so like an internal guidance system. If you're feeling bad or if you're feeling angry, why do you feel that way? Because it obviously comes from a value or a belief that you might not agree with or that you're living against. So, it is a process. It's not a quick thing that you can sort of just do, but you've got to start studying yourself, basically.
Now, I've got another question for you. I was reading an article about Lance Armstrong's first wife, and she was saying, well, she was very young when they married, and, 1 to 3 babies, and there you go. And 7 years later, he's left, blah, blah, blah. And she was saying, she wishes somebody had kind of told her about what this marriage thing was about, because 7 years into the marriage, when people asked her, what do you love doing? And she just automatically, well, Lance loves this, and Lance loves that, and Lance. And that's a big problem with a lot of women, because we are the nurturers, so we take on that role of it's. And marriage is that I'm here to support my husband, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to hold on to who you are.
Because you lose yourself.
You lose yourself, and that's why you can't kind of use your emotions as your navigation and as your guide, because you actually are not aware of who you are anymore.
You aren't, and that was the interesting thing as well that I discovered when I looked back, and particularly when I was a single mom, was that I discovered that I was so caught up in surviving and raising my children that I lost complete sense of self, as you said, because women believe that, we've got to have this nurturing role, we've got to take care of the family, and we kind of no longer take care of ourselves. We feel guilty with leaving the kids with a babysitter for half an hour. Because we've got to be there for them. And we don't look after ourselves. But the interesting thing is, if you don't look after yourself first, everything else is going to fall to pieces. And I think it also comes from the, our old regime, where it was very religious in the way we were brought up, and women misinterpreted it when it was told that yourself last. It was always, God first, others in between, yourself last. That's not the way it's meant to be. So it's very, very important that people actually take time out. And also when it comes to relationships, is that we tend to look for somebody because we feel that they are going to complete us. a relationship will never, ever work. It will never be successful if you're not whole as a person.
Going into that
relationship. So it's not 50-50 and it's not two halves. It's two wholes that make good relationships.
Right. Now, we're talking about the relationship magnet. Deborah Rennie is here to talk about her book. It's so cool. It's a lovely, lovely glossy cover book, and it says, "Get the relationships you don't want, guaranteed." This is by Deborah. Now, I don't understand that. Shouldn't it be get the relationship I do want?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a play on words, so that if you don't
you
become aware
okay.
and you don't change your perceptions and beliefs, you are going to get the relationships you don't want anyway.
Right. Okay, that's true. Okay, now talking about the abusive side, now are there two sections in the book, I believe? Well, my understanding is, the one side is pretty much talking about relationships and problems and beliefs and whatever. And then the second part is a bit about being proactive and getting out there, getting help if you need it, and all and the practical tips.
Yes, the first part of the book is basically my life story. So it shows you sort of how my inherent beliefs and my thought patterns, how I actually, my relationships were based on that. So
how do you actually, because it's pretty difficult, for people to go, yes, I messed up. And yes, I messed up a lot, and I continue to mess up for many years.
Well, you have to look at yourself, because what happens is we tend to blame everybody else. And I had quite a lot of relationships besides the three failed marriages.
Wow. I
had other relationships as well, and you tend to keep thinking, man, is there no good person out there, and what is the matter with these people, and he's such a this or whatever. So you're always blaming everybody else, and eventually, sort of after the third failed marriage, you think, my word, I'm the common denominator in the situation. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
How come I'm getting involved with these people? What am I not seeing?
Yeah.
Because you sort of get into a situation, because you're so incomplete as a human being, you're so desperate to have love and be married and feel accepted and all of those things, that you get involved in a relationship so quickly, you don't really get to know the person properly.
Yeah.
You have blinkers on, or you have rosy-colored glasses on, so you sort of don't look at all the signs.
And they're there.
They are there. And the thing is, your intuition tells you as well, because I know I absolutely ignored my intuition. I felt uncomfortable, but at the same token, I felt nobody else is going to want me. I'm divorced. I'm from an abused marriage. I'm not going to find anybody else. So you kind of settle, and you just go with whoever comes your way. You do. So after the third marriage, it was a case of, I have to discover, what do I have, or what is my responsibility, or what am I bringing into the situation? And it is hard. It's very hard, because then all of a sudden you've got to realize all the mistakes. You've got to acknowledge what you've done wrong. You've got to go through the self-discovery, and it's difficult to do it, but once you get out of that, and once you realize, oh my goodness, I can change this. I have the power to change this because I have control over my life.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's the most wonderful feeling, knowing that you can change it.
Right. Thank you very much. Wow.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure to meet you, and we wish you everything the best for the talks, and I hope to see you again in the studio sometime.
Super. Thanks, Suga.
10 minutes away from 11 now.